In this chapter, we're going to be reviewing and introducing concepts in geometry and transformations. In this lesson, we're going to look at rotations.
Okay, hi everybody. So in this lesson we're going to take a look at rotations. And when we do a rotation of an object, we're going to be rotating it around the origin, okay, the center point here. Now you could rotate it around different points here, but just for simplicity's sake for what we're going to do, we're going to go around the origin. And what you need to remember here is the degree of rotation and the direction of the rotation here. Now, what I'm showing you here are the quadrants and how they are numbered, okay? So when you've got your coordinate plane here, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. It's important to know how these things are going to move when we perform rotations here, okay? Now, so let's talk about quadrant 1 here, okay? If you rotate it 90 degrees, if you rotate something 90 degrees clockwise, okay, so let's say clockwise, that's going to put it down here in quadrant 4. 90 degrees clockwise is now going to put it from quadrant 4 into quadrant 3. Okay, 90 degrees clockwise is going to go from quadrant 3 to quadrant 2. 90 degrees clockwise is going to go from quadrant 2 to quadrant 1. Now, at the same time, 90 degrees counterclockwise, okay, counterclockwise is going to pull us back from quadrant 1 to quadrant 2. 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, 90 degrees counterclockwise. Okay, 90 degrees counterclockwise. And it's just important to remember the direction that we're going here. Now, 180 degrees is going to be, so for example, 180 degrees is going to be twice that. So from 1 to 3. Okay, for quadrant 4, anything that's in quadrant 4, if you rotate it 180 degrees clockwise, it's going to be 1, 2 quadrants over. And then 270 degrees is going to be 3 of those. Okay, so for quadrant 1, if you're going to rotate it clockwise 270 degrees, it's going to go here, here, and then here. Okay, but we're always going to ask you for degrees that are multiples of 90. Okay, and quite honestly, if I was going to rotate something in quadrant 1 270 degrees clockwise, maybe I cheat a little bit and I'm just going to go 90 degrees counterclockwise because that'll put me in the right quadrant anyway. Now, to help out with this just a little bit more, we got a little rule here that I can give you for doing this. Let's say that you start with your point here AB, A comma B. If you're going to rotate, okay, let's say 90 degrees clockwise, then one of the things you can do kind of algebraically to this is you can take those two coordinates there and you can switch them. So make that B comma A. So basically just switch the numbers. So if this is 1 and 2, it becomes 2 and 1. But then you make the second one the opposite sign. So whatever sign A had here, it's going to be the opposite sign over here. Okay? So if this was 1 comma 2, for example, this is going to become the point 2 comma negative 1. If you want to rotate, and actually maybe I should do this in red here because of the way I did that. If you want to rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, then you're going to get negative B comma A. Okay, we're going to switch the order of the two numbers here, but we're going to change the sign on the first one. So in this particular case right here, this one would become negative 2 comma 1. And that is going to rotate those points 90 degrees in the appropriate directions here. If you wanted to go 180 degrees, then you would do this twice. If you wanted to go 270 degrees, you do it 3 times. Anyway, this gets a little bit busy. This is a little bit confusing. It requires a little bit of effort here. One of the more common mistakes that people make when I ask you to do rotations is they do reflections instead, okay, of rotating it. Anyway, let's take a look at some questions. Okay, so let's take a look at these some examples here. So we're going to rotate the following images by the amount in the direction indicated. So here we go, 180 degrees clockwise. Now, what I'm going to do here with this one to start off with, I'm going to do this a couple of different ways. But just to show you kind of visually, first of all, what this is going to look like here. I'm going to put this over top. Make sure that I get, I've got that almost perfect. Okay, so I'm going to draw that shape right here. and I can kind of see through, right now, I can kind of see through the sheet here to see the thing behind it here. Now, what I'm going to do with this sticky here is I'm going to take this, and I want you to get an idea of the orientation of this object before I rotate it here. When you rotate this 90 degrees clockwise, so sorry, 180 degrees clockwise, it's going to be around that middle, the origin here. So 90 degrees clockwise is going to look like that. So it was pointing down, this little point was going down before it, now it's going to the left. Now I'm going to rotate this one more time, 90 degrees, and notice what quadrant that it's in. This is moved to quadrant 2. It was in quadrant 4, now it's in quadrant 2, and now it's pointing up. And look at where everything is located, okay? Look at all the points here, because part of the issue here is going to be labeling the points. Okay, so before this was A, B, C, D, and E, and now that I rotate it over here, look at where all those points are located. By doing it this way here, I mean you can clearly see where the coordinates are. But what I want to do here is I'm going to list them all out. And we're going to do this again here, but I'm going to show you how you can do it using that little rule that I gave you before here. So we're going to start off with x comma y, and I'm going to list off the points here. So A is going to be the point 1 comma negative 2. B is going to be the point, oh boy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So B is going to be 7 comma negative 2. C is going to be 7 comma negative 4, looks like. D is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 3 comma negative 6. And E is going to be the point 1 comma negative 5. Now I'm just going to count that out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Now, I have to take this and rotate this through 180 degrees clockwise. So 90 degrees clockwise is going to be y comma negative x. So A primed is going to be negative 2 comma negative 1. I'm going to switch those over, change the sign. B is going to be negative 2 comma negative 7. C primed is going to be negative 4 comma negative 7. D primed is going to be negative 6 comma negative 3. And then E primed is going to be negative 5 comma negative 1. Now I could put those all on here and show you how this is now rotated 90 degrees this way, but we don't have to do that. Now what I can do here is let's just do this again. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to take these two now and I'm going to flip them, and it's going to become negative x because I'm going to move this one forward. I'm going to push the y back and change its sign. So now this is going to be A double primed. Now here's what's going to happen. That negative 1 is going to move forward. This 2 is going to move back, and I'm going to change its sign. The negative 7 moves forward. And then I'm going to move the negative 2 back, and I'm going to change its sign. The negative 7 comes forward. I'm going to move the negative 4 back, and I'm going to change its sign. Bring the negative 3 forward, put the negative 6 back, and change its sign. Bring the negative 1 forward, move the negative 5 back, and change its sign. And so now I'm going to plot those points. So A prime is going to be negative 1, 2. Okay? There's A double primed. B is negative 7. Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. So here's B double primed. C is going to be negative 7, positive 4. So here's C double primed. D is negative 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And E is going to be negative 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now we just connect the dots. And there we go. Now, not a reflection. I didn't flip this over and then flip this over. That would have actually looked a little bit different. Okay? So this has been rotated. Now let's take a look at the second question here, which is, this case is just 90 degrees clockwise. With this one here, I'm just going to take our points once again. So x comma y, and then I've got A, B, C, and And the nice thing is about this one, I've only got the 3 points to move. So A is the point 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. B is negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And C is negative 6, 1. Now, we're going to rotate this 90 degrees clockwise. Now, think about what I set up before here. If it's in quadrant 2 right now, 90 degrees clockwise is going to put it over here into quadrant 1. Algebraically, with a point, that's going to be y, negative x. And so A primed here, I'm going to switch them. Okay, so this is going to be 4, and then, well, I would make this one a different sign here, but 0 is not positive or negative, so it's going to stay 0. B primed, I'm going to bring the 5 forward, I'll bring the negative 6 back and change its sign. C primed, I'm going to bring the 1 forward and again push the negative 6 back and change its sign. And so now I just got to plot those points here. So 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0. B is 5, 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So B is right here. And C is 1, 6, so 1, and then up here right next to the B actually. And then I connect the dots. Now, it's even clearer in this particular problem that this is not a reflection of this one. I didn't just flip this one over here. It has been rotated, okay? So it's just something to watch out for. Keep in mind what it should look like, what quadrant it should be moved to, and then if you need to, you can use this method right here to follow where the points are going. Okay, and this question right here, before I let you kind of go here and practice this a little bit, suppose a shape is in the second quadrant. Okay, so the second quadrant is right here. So here's our shape, just a triangle, let's just put it there. And is rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees. Okay, counterclockwise is this way. 90 degrees, and we've looked at this already, is going to put it down here. So that's going to put into quadrant, that's going to go into quadrant 3. Now, what happens to the coordinates? Okay, so if you've got the coordinates here, x, y, if you want to go 90 degrees counterclockwise, what does that do to the coordinates here? Well, first of all, it switches the x and the y. But then what it does is it takes every coordinate here that I brought forward, it changes the sign. The x1, when you move it back, it stays the same. Whatever that number is, it stays the same. But this one here, when you move it forward, is going to change signs here. And that's what this question is asking you to do. So we've already looked at how to do that up here. It's just that with this one, we're going counterclockwise. I'm just changing the sign on the one that I bring forward, not the one that I put back.